Hello, everybody. How are you doing this evening? We are so happy to have you here. I'm just excited. But I'm always excited. Whenever we come on the power of transformation, I just feel really good because we know we have something really awesome for you tonight. And I'm telling you, this is no exception. We're going to continue our conversation about finances. We have our guru here, Noelle Ramos. She's going to come in just a few minutes and we're going to tie this thing up. I'm with a nice little bow. I'm not saying it's going to be the last conversation we're going to have about finances, but boy, oh boy, do we have a great topic tonight. Now, you know what has to happen? You want to tell your friends. You want to tell your family. You want to tell your coworkers and your associate that you are watching The Power of Transformation with Dr. Paula Obi, and you don't want to miss it. So we go ahead and give them a little text and a little tag and call them if we have a moment, and then we're going to be right back. We'll see you soon. All right, so we're ready to get started with another wonderful night. And I'm going to introduce some and present to others Noelle Ramos.
Hey!
There she is. Hello, Noelle.
Hello. How are you liking all this cold weather lately?
Let me tell you something. When the ice came, I went inside. I was peeping through the windows like this, going, all right, we don't want any power outages, and we didn't have any. I was so excited, and I was so excited when things started melting. But they're talking about other things going on. That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll be prepared, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do is just prepare and buckle down and get through it.
I think we did a great job. Well, I've been very excited about our kickoff for the Happy New Year segment for January. How about you? We just talked about finances in so many different ways. Very non-threatening, very informational, down to earth conversations, but important conversation. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm going to agree with that because I think, I think sometimes we think of budgeting and financial planning and your money plan and just we give it a negative light because it's stressful and we don't want to deal with it. And we just don't feel we make enough money to even bother with it. They're like, I don't make enough money. I live paycheck to paycheck. I don't need a budget. Well, that's definitely when you need to rethink that.
Yes. And you brought that home. First show, second show, we just kept talking about the importance of having a plan
Mm-hmm.
and really changing your attitude towards it, which I think is such a really big deal. Let's change our attitude towards it. Let's do that now,
Great.
right now, our mental status, our emotional status, everything, so that we have more of what we have been given, or we receiving, no matter how much it is. Let's make it work for us, right?
No, I agree 100%. And I mean, the whole I think conversation that we're having is for you to get more comfortable with it, for you to feel more comfortable with it, and just to start that plan and start it now. Because I feel what I run into a lot is a lot of folks are waiting till they're a little bit older in age, and now we're playing a catch-up game. And so this is something you need to think about when we're a little bit younger.
Yes. Why should we start when we're younger?
Time is our friend.
Absolutely, because we're talking about numbers and we're talking about the ability to grow with time. And so if we start younger, the whole plan, the whole idea is you have more time for the plan to work, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. When you're younger, you may be struggling as much, but that's when you need to just start with those small bits. Start putting into your retirement. As you know, that's why it's important to do that money plan because you need to know how much you can afford to put into your retirement plan because you're gonna wish you had that retirement plan when you're ready to retire.
Yeah, when you're in your 20s, so you have your second job, it's kind of difficult to start thinking about
It
retirement. So
is.
you really have to have a vision. The vision has to say, I'm not just planning for now. not
Yeah.
for this decade, but in the future. And that has to be really something you need to embrace when you start working and you're like, I don't really need to be thinking about that.
Hmm.
That's when Noel's saying to us, that's the best time to start thinking about it and start talking about it and get some good advice.
Yeah, even if it's as small as $50 a month, I've had many clients where I've started them as little as $50 a month, and I go back and I'm like, oh, I'm having those. I'm like, look, it's adding up. You didn't think, and that little bit helps, and that's where if you don't think you have $50 a month, you need to do your money plan, and we need to start diving deeper and try to find it because you are 100% going to have to retire at some age, and you're gonna thank your younger self for good job. Thanks for thinking of me, tightening that belt when you were younger and struggling a little bit because now look, we're good now.
We're going to talk about retirement in a second, but you have definitely hit a topic. I say you've hit that big toe. Sometimes we don't really appreciate the fact that planning is really to help us.
Hmm.
And I was looking through all of my tickets and the things that people were saying and the feedback, making us aware as many times as we need to be aware of the importance of planning and the
Yes.
process of planning. It's a topic that needs to be discussed a lot. And you say, well, my goodness, you can turn on the television, you can hear it, but we're making it personal.
Yeah.
Personal. And I remember we didn't talk about emotional spending, but I remember being caught in a situation. This is like free off the topic of retirement, where someone said, well, I spent more money on a gift than you spent on me. You have more money, so you should spend more money on me. What would you say to that person?
I have that money because I'm not spending it.
See,
That's gonna be my first comment. Don't count my coins.
The second comment would be, but I'm planning for my future.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just be honest.
Just be honest. And I think that, and I promise you, I'm going to get it off of this if you allow me to. When I had my biggest downfall, biggest on record downfall, when I reviewed my statements for the previous year, and the previous maybe 2 years, it was suspending buying presents.
Mm. Your friends
Wow.
loved you that time.
Oh, yeah. So I get it. Someone might say to you, oh, well, you got it. And it might get into your head and you have an ego problem.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, I don't want them to outdo me until there's no savings, no plan. And then where are your friends?
Yep.
Where are those folks that, you trying to do whatever with, where are they? They're not there because they were never responsible for it in the first place. What you're saying, your response is, I'm trying to plan for a future.
Right.
I have a vision for myself. I wish I had known that.
I can honestly say if I had a friend who told me I need to save because I'm planning for my money plan for my future, I can respect that answer a lot more than any other one because at least they're being 100% truthful. I can't afford this right now. I'm planning for whatever.
I have a plan.
I respect that.
Or as one of my friends would say, I don't want to be broke like you. I mean, it sounds hard and it sounds harsh, and people will get mad. Sometimes they'll say, well, I purchased so and so and so for you. You could at least do this for me. Well, did I ask you to purchase that for me, or you just felt led?
It's not tit for tat.
It's not. It's wisdom.
Nope, I agree.
And as I was picking myself up from that time and reviewing all of the statements and highlighting all of the things that were not necessary, that was my retirement plan going out the window. And that's why this conversation is important.
Yeah.
And you have to really look at the emotional piece of it sometimes. And if someone is talking to you that way, trying to have you validate your love because of their money, then that's a conversation you might need to have with a financial advisor so that you redirect yourself to what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I agree. I think, we were having this discussion earlier. A lot of folks don't start thinking about retirement I have found like not until their 40s, because that's when they start thinking about it. That's when I think it's a maturity thing, and that's when they start. Oh, I need to start. I'm in my 40s. I need to start thinking about retirement. In all actuality, if you're the older generation, hit your grandkids up, hit your kids up, say, hey, this is the time to start. Not when you're my age, not when you're in your 50s. That's not when you need to start thinking about how Social Security is going to hit, or if you need to start really pounding and funding that 401k. It's as soon as you get that first job. If they have a 401k, I don't care if you think it's going to be a temporary job, because I've had so many people say, oh, I asked them, do you have a 401k? Have you started with your company? Well, no, but I wasn't planning on staying long. Okay, well, how long have you been there? Oh, about 5 years. Okay. Well, in that 5 years, you could have put something away. Right. I don't care if you think you're going to be there 6 months. If they offer to you as soon as you walk in that door, take advantage of that opportunity and just start funneling in whatever you can.
Yes. They offer it to you. It's going to help you more than that pair of shoes. And, I'm saying there's a way to do things. Don't neglect your future, because your future is something definitely from a money perspective that you can plan for. Noelle is going to give us some tips and some tricks tonight, things that you may have heard before. Sometimes hearing it again, over and over again, really helps. Sometimes hearing it from someone else helps as well.
I find with parents, it helps for their children to hear it from someone like me.
Yeah.
And their parents get so frustrated, like, I told them. Well, they need that third party edification. They can't hear it from you. It doesn't make sense coming from you. But if someone who's in that position, they're going to hear it a little bit more. I mean, I sat down with an 18-year-old, and I don't think she quite gets it yet. But I just looked at her and said, look, you're going to thank your mom. And then when you go to retire, I said, this all seems very boring and monotonous. I said, but you're going to thank her later. And I was thinking, and it wasn't even like 3 or 4 months later, she doubled what she started with. She started putting more money into her retirement account. I'm like, look at you.
You planted the seed, and you didn't even know that the seed was being planted. That's all we're trying to do here. Plant some really good seeds. If you think I'm not listening, well, somebody might be listening more than you think. And this information can be shared with others. I love that story. I think it's a great story.
Yeah. And I think we think whenever we go to retire, like, oh, well, I'll have less expenses, right? Like, oh, well, I won't have, maybe I don't have to drive as far, drive as much, because I'm not going to and from work. I don't have to buy any more work clothes. But what sometimes we don't think about, because we're young and dumb, we haven't experienced that. We forget our healthcare. What about healthcare? What are we going to do about that? What are we going to do if we want to travel? We always think about travel, but like, do we really know how much it's going to be to travel when we get older? And we still have to think about taxes, because a lot of that stuff, healthcare goes up. I mean, you have different stuff that go, your prescriptions. When we get older, guess what?
They're going up.
Our body's not always kind to us, and we're going to have to start spending money.
Yeah. And that's just reality, the reality that if you start and you're prepared, it's going to benefit you later. Mm-hmm. It's going to benefit you sometimes in a way in which you're not even prepared, but you're like, wow. I had someone call me the other day. They had forgotten about I think they'd watched the show and they'd forgotten about, and they received an email, something in the mail, not email. And I said, maybe that's a 401k you forgot about. I mean, maybe it was something that you signed up for when you were working for that company. I totally forgot it.
I'm trying to keep track, because you can move that stuff. As soon as you leave, move that money in all in one spot. So you have it. I don't care if you have 10 of them. Get them all and put it all in one spot.
And I got so tickled. I'm thinking, wow, well, yeah, that it was making money for you. And so I'm happy about the fact that we're laughing. I was sad for myself back then. I'm happy for myself now because of the lessons learned.
Yeah.
So I'm spreading the news. Let's just do better.
And your lessons that you learn can be a blessing upon someone else, where they hear this and like, okay, maybe I need to stop spending money on other people.
Yeah, maybe I need to stop
what I'm doing.
What am I trying to prove? And if someone's I'm not on the soapbox. I'm on the soapbox because I will tell you, and I haven't said this, it just about, I mean, it just wore me out. I could not get myself together. It was not something I thought, it was not a place I thought I'd ever be.
Yeah.
I thought I was smarter, you know?
And I'll
But
tell
we,
you what, I have that feeling too. I know, and I got to stop that way thing because I know whenever I go out with friends, I always feel like I need to pay. I don't know what it is. I always feel I'm like, okay, well, I know they make a little less than me. Maybe I need to pay. But I'm like, you know what? They work. I work. They work. We need to be splitting this bill, and I need to stop. Get that out of my head. You could. It's not going to offend anybody to say 2 checks.
it's not. And I think if we can move away from the guilt tripping, I'm not saying
Yes.
that's how you felt. Move away from people guilt tripping and move away from people who always want you to buy them something. I'm like, why don't you buy it yourself? I know that's harsh, but why don't you save up for it? Well, you could buy it for a Christmas present. You could buy it. I mean, we really, really, those two, the preview of the 2 years prior to my downfall taught me that I was just throwing money,
Yeah.
expecting it to always be there until you lose that job.
Yeah, I agree. And then so a lot of things too we don't think about is maybe taxes. You think your taxes
Absolutely.
are automatic. You can think, oh, am I going to have any tax? My taxes are going to be automatically lower. And you have to be strategic about your money planning because not only are you getting Social Security, you might be getting some of your pension from,
Pension.
that 30 plus job you worked hard and you earned that pension. That's something you need to consider. You need to consider if you have any 401ks that you're going to be taking withdrawals out of or any other investment accounts that's going to count as income. You got to be careful with that. And it may set you up in a whole different tax bracket. You say, okay, well, I want to go on vacation and you take out a large chunk of money. That may throw off how much you counts as your income. So you got to be careful with, your taxes as well.
Get the facts. Get the facts. Talk to someone and make a really good decision for you because it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Just
And
because you're
you
retiring doesn't mean the IRS is.
yeah, right. Oh my goodness, I don't even want to start talking about them. But what can we do for us? That's been our goal all month. Our goal
Yeah.
is to say, how can we make this work out for us?
Yeah.
You
And when you're
know,
taking in those other incomes, you got to be careful because Social Security, depending on what age you are, I want to say we've touched on it, but it still can be taxable and up to 85% taxable if you're not careful. So this is why it's important for you to know your numbers.
yeah, get the facts. Get the facts. Get you a financial advisor and don't be afraid to sit down and have some conversation. Now, this has popped up in my head. I want you to be able to have the conversation with someone who's in your family, maybe your significant other, your husband, your wife, or your partner. However, if they're not willing to sit down and have the financial discussion, you should go ahead and have it for yourself. You should
Yeah,
go ahead and
I
start.
yeah, my husband's always like, "Well, you're the financial guru. You just deal with it." I'm like, "You need to know though." And I kind
Yes.
of just I'll give him a high level, but it's like you still need to know what's going on in this household.
In this household. And maybe it's not a discussion that you have as often as we would have with
Yeah.
you, but maybe once or twice, just do a little, you know, recap and say, this is where we are. I just want you to know where we are and what we are trying to do. And I think that's a great way to open up the conversation. Sometimes it's how you open the conversation. You don't want to overwhelm anyone, but you just want them engaged.
Yeah.
Now, when they see it, you don't want them to make automatic withdrawals.
No. No.
You want them to continue to grow the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, because ultimately your goal is to make sure I think we're all afraid of this is making sure our money outlives us. Don't want to go
Right?
to retirement and then you don't have enough to sustain you. And then what are we 70 years old having to go back to work just to get benefits or just to, be able to pay the necessities, Medicare is going to not be cheap if you have to be careful with these things.
And the reason that we're being repetitive is because now is the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, to start making some better changes. We all have different scenarios. We live in the different, types of situations. However, effective money management benefits everyone. Trust me, I'm a believer. I had to pick myself up. I've heard you, I'm going to say it as many times as I need to from the ground because of poor money management. I made the money, walked out from the job because I was acting like a 13-year-old and somebody got in an argument with me. And I didn't have another job. We talked about that. It's not the time to separate yourself. If you're going to have an argument with somebody, just don't do it and go home. I mean, don't do it and relax. Don't quit because you actually need to be grown enough to sustain yourself.
I have a younger brother who has learned that lesson where he's like, well, they disrespected me. And where are they at now? You with no job, you quit, and you still got bills to pay. So how'd that disrespect go? Think about that.
How did it go? So learn from me. Okay, you don't like them. That's nice. Yeah. Find a way to make sure that you take great care of your money and your responsibilities, because that's what it's about. God gave it to you. Hopefully you have a vision. There will always be someone who has something to say about you and everybody else. That's what they do. Don't get distracted. Pull it back in. You need to take a coffee break, walk around the block. Fine. Don't walk out that door and make the same mistake I did, because it was the beginning of that time. It was the beginning.
And they don't care. They're not the ones putting into anything except your frustration.
Mm-hmm. And they're probably baiting you because they're wanting to see what you're going to do. Be strong. Protect yourself, right?
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and definitely, as long as you're employed, you're going to be, feeding into that retirement. So now you don't want to have to make bad decisions like I did, and then let's just say, learn from others.
Learn from her mistakes.
Learn from mine. Yeah. The argument didn't last for 5 minutes, but it was catastrophic in nature.
Yeah.
So let it go.
Let it go. Like Elsa from Frozen. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Yeah. And so we need to make sure we're thinking about most folks when they have a retirement account. It's usually going to be a 401k unless they've contributed into that Roth. So Roth, great tool. If you don't have one, get that Roth, because you can both have a 401k and an outside Roth. You can have two separate retirement accounts. I don't know how many people know or don't know that. I didn't know it whenever I was younger, so I would have done both if I'd known whenever I was younger. But yeah, you can have that outside of your employer is that Roth account, and that's your after-tax money. So you need to think. So when you go to retire, 401ks, when you go and take any withdrawals from that, you're getting taxed on that, right? So you're getting there's no flexibility. You have to take it, and you have to get taxed on it.
That's it.
And so and so when you're getting older, there's less deductions that you're going to be able to take. Like, you're not going to be able to write off kids if you have kids. You're not going to be able to write off, so you're going to have less tax deductions when you get older. So you're no longer going to be able to write off your pre-tax contribution of that 401k. You're not going to be able to do all that stuff that maybe you did when you were younger. So that stuff, money planning, thinking of the future.
Yeah. And, yearly, when you sit down and definitely you want to have a internal checkup, probably you said monthly, maybe quarterly, yearly, however you plan, just stay on top of it and don't be afraid of it. If you're afraid of it, find you a financial advisor. Don't be afraid to plan well and have a good plan that you're constantly maybe updating, advising. I am so glad I'm looking in the rear view mirror going by old ways of thinking, hello to new ways of thinking. It saved me.
Yeah, at this point, you want to be able to just, you're not going to be able to avoid taxes unless you're just
absolutely
off the grid. They're going to come knocking at your door. At this point, you want your money plan to be able to control them.
Yes. So you want to get the best advice, and then you want to do everything you can to manage and put that advice into good use, because that's your vision. I keep saying that's your vision. And my vision was not to not have
Yeah.
enough to take care of myself. That's not my vision. So let's prepare, let's plan, let's replan as often as needed and get back on that track.
Yeah, I agree. And so, of course, time is your friend because, a lot of folks are, I didn't know anything about it until, I started with this, and, this company and started learning it on my own. But, we're scared of the unknown. And so we don't know anything about investments, which is like, we know we probably should do it because guess what? If you have a 401k, that's what they're doing. They're investing your money.
And that's how you're making the money.
Yes, you need to learn. Just do a little bit of reading, learn about what compounding interest is and how long it takes your money to double and what you need to do to make your money double. Or, make sure if you're sitting down across the table, from your advisor, ask them these questions. Make sure they're educating you because, it's such an injustice if I'm just saying, here, do this, this, and this, but I'm not telling you why or how to get there. This is why we're doing it. You hear that old saying, make your money work for you. Let me show you how your money's going to work for you. And this is where we need to go. And this is why we stay away from these kind of things, because this is the things don't be afraid to ask questions. Just don't take what they say as gospel.
Yes, and you do need to do some homework. You need to really, it's important enough for you to take a moment to follow up and do some homework. It's important.
Yeah.
Just like everything else, it's very important. And some folks will say, well, 5 minutes. No, you may need 10. Your understanding may be that you come back and revisit it at another time. I'd rather you take the time to revisit and have what you need, or at least on the path to having what you need to support your vision now and later, than just saying, I think I know. No, just find out. We have too many tools.
You don't have to be an expert subject matter, but you need to have a high level understanding of where you're going.
Right. We're not asking you to be experts unless you want to be. We're asking you to just be better money managers and planners and to support your vision. And I say that a lot because it was nobody's responsibility to support Paula's vision but Paula.
Exactly. And once again, it's looking to the future and it's like, is my money plan going to work for me? Or am I going to be a burden upon somebody else? Or am I going to end up somewhere that's not going to be so nice and clean and it's not going to be the best facility because I failed to plan?
Yeah, I don't have any choices. I don't have as many choices as I need. Let's start now while I'm strong enough to go to work every day and I'm strong enough to bring in an income. I'm well enough to be able to make the plan because that's a really big deal. I'm persistent enough. I'm there.
Yeah.
It's a great time. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I'm ready.
Mentally is the key because, once we start getting a little bit older, they're not, and, they're not as sharp as they used to be.
And we thank God for the Noel Ramuses of the world who can help us. Always help us with these questions. She's not afraid of them. She will answer you.
No, and I encourage them all the time. Give me questions because guess what? I like it when I don't have the answer to your question because then I need to dig. I need to research and I need to find that answer because now if something's bothering you or concerning you, it needs to concern me too, and I need to find out that answer. And I'm not going to say I sit here and say, oh, whatever you throw at me, I'm going to know. No, I mean, just today I reached out to 2 or 3 different advisors because I'm like, I don't understand this. Explain this to me and explain it to me in the most simplest way ever because for some reason my brain just isn't clicking. And I did a ton of research and what I was researching still contradicted what I thought. And they're like, stop overthinking. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I was like, okay, I get it now. Thank you.
And that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
To get to a point where you get it. Now, I know I haven't asked you to prepare your email address if we need to send you emails. However, if you would just prepare for that, I love the conversation. I feel better. Thank you. When I look back on the steps that were taken from that catastrophe, I'm here to tell you, as long as you're working and bringing in an income, you can turn things around. You can prepare for your retirement. You can take care of yourself in a more professional and profound way. You know, you can do it. We just need to get you on board with your planning and with your purpose and your vision.
Yeah. And definitely you need to feel comfortable sitting across that table who's helping you. Because
Mhm.
if you feel like maybe they're talking above you, or if you feel they're too, I mean, let's face it, some folks are arrogant. They call a spade a
Absolutely.
spade. If you feel they're too arrogant, or if you feel they talk too much, maybe they talk too much, you're like, okay, just get to the point, you know, then keep looking, because you need to find that person who, if you call them, they're not gonna try to shoo you away. You need to know these things and understand.
You need to have someone who will partner with you and help you get there. And I
Yeah.
like that, yeah, I like that. So, but Noel, I'm telling you, this train has been chugging along, power transformation train, just having a really good time with this discussion. I really feel that we're gonna have to bring you back in the future, periodically, so that we can really zone in to some specific topics, because we stayed a little high level, but looking at the tools. Every time we have this discussion, I'm sure there's at least one person who's glad we had the courage to ask to talk about it, because they may not have had the courage, or they may not have had the understanding. So the power transformation train with us on it now needs to turn itself around and it needs to go back into the station. We are based on um, uh, just an insert from the scripture, Romans 12:2, just a little part that says, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." All of this information is intended to help you transform your thinking, transform your life, transform your world, and help you get to that vision that God has for you. And that's what we want, right, Noel?
100%.
We're in your corner and we love you. Well, we're going to stop now. I'm pumping the brakes. And we thank you for joining us. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to like. And we do have a replay that's coming up on Saturday, right?
Saturday.
On Wednesdays and Saturdays, Saturday at 2 o'clock. So you can tune in. If someone hasn't, didn't have time to watch it, they can watch it again. However, right after this broadcast, they can also watch it. So don't forget to like and share and just spread the word about our financial discussion regarding taxes tonight. So closing words and then we're out.
Doesn't matter when you start, just start.
There you go. I'm with her. And we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.